Okay. Hey guys, I am Tammy Battaglia, for those of you who don't know me, and I've been doing a boot camp with my team called The Hottest Summer, and I've been asking some of our leaders to get on and talk about training topics, that kind of thing. Hang on, I'm in my husband's car and I feel like, I don't know, that probably didn't help any, but anyway, you can hear me, that's all that matters. Today we're going to talk about something that all of us deal with, and it was funny because as soon as I announced it, I got all these like private messages like, oh my gosh, that's such a touchy topic. You know, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, granted, maybe it's touchy, but it's part of our business. And I just feel like the more you know, the better you're going to do, kind of thing. Like I said this morning in my reminder for this is not to call anybody out. We're not like naming names. I'm just going to go through some of the scenarios that we deal with, that you might also be dealing with. And we're just going to talk about how to deal with it. I'm going to start off by saying business is business, and it's not all fair. It's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. There's money involved, and some people are driven by different things. And so while you can't, make it perfect or force anyone to do anything, I also think there's a whole other group of people who might have tried promoting and maybe even did stupendous. And then after 6 months or a year, their life changed, could be for good reasons or bad, and they've dropped off the face of the earth. And so those people may not realize that it's super easy to stop being officially a promoter, and they can go back to being a customer, because I know sometimes it's a struggle that they still love the product, and so they just don't even know. So we're going to kind of cover a lot of that. I've gotten several not voice message, text messages and messenger things today, people saying, hey, are we going to talk about this, or are we going to talk about that? And yes, we're going to try to dive into all of it. So like I said earlier, if you are on Zoom, those of you that have called in, I don't think you can do this, but if you're actually on the Zoom app, there's a chat button and you can shoot me a message if you want. So then we're going to go from there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm in my, let me see, speaker. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this over to Lindsay to get us started. So now, Lindsay, I titled this, is it time for you to stop promoting? And so, like we said, it can go in all kinds of different directions. You have people who, okay, there's two, in my mind, there's two types, what I call non-promoting promoters. The first one, to me, a non-promoting promoter, perhaps I'm qualifying for a trip, and I throw out a promo of, I don't know, free this or free that. And one of my really good customers says, hey, I want that. And so my good customer becomes a promoter to get the deal, which then helps me earn the trip. Now that person who's come on in that realm, they didn't come on to promote. They could always, it's always a possibility. They didn't come to promote, and they're not really building a team. So that's not really the non-promoting promoter that I'm focused on. I'm focusing on the people who came in, build a team, and then have they've left, or they've changed jobs, or whatever, something's happened, they've dropped off the face of the earth. And so now all the people they brought in are feeling, I call them my orphans. And so I reach out to my orphans as often as possible. Sometimes I don't even realize someone's been orphaned, but as soon as I find out someone's been orphaned, I try to get a hold of them, and I just treat them as my own, because that's how I would want to be treated. But if you could just talk about, I don't think people realize it happens to all of us. So talk about what you've dealt with. I mean, obviously you've done this longer. You have a much bigger team, so I'm sure you have way more examples. And like I said up front, yes, it's unfair, but it happens. So let's kind of dive in that direction first.
Okay, so first things first, guys, is like Tammy said, this is a super touchy subject. This is not sitting here getting into compliance and all of that kind of BS. This is literally just letting you know that we know the frustration, and I've heard a lot of the frustration as well with this particular subject. So like with Tammy saying, here's the most important thing. We all have them. There is plenty of people that have jumped into this business running full steam ahead. They might have hit their VIPs or it hit their iPad, but then life happened, or they just wanted that quick fast cash and they got in and they got out. And that's the hardest part that I think people, for me, we are blessed that Lavelle allows us to be able to be a part of any direct sales. I mean, that's a huge blessing, because I know there's a lot of multi-level marketing and direct sales companies out there that it's one and one only. And if you're caught promoting anything else, you will be shut down. Fortunately and unfortunately, Lavelle is not one of those. And so this is a two-part subject. So here's the deal for the people that start and stop. Guys, it's not fair. Life's not fair, but you can reach up to your upline and just say, hey, I'm genuinely working this business. I love this product. Have you ever thought about changing your promotership back to a customer and me helping you get your product for free so that I can soar my wings and fly? Granted, that's a very touchy subject, guys, but you don't know until you ask. And that's the most important thing. So that would be the first thing, is if you feel like you're in that position, you've got to ask your upline, hey, is this ever something that you thought about doing? Are you even still thriving? Because sometimes people just pay their $100 and they're not even thriving because they want that little paycheck that they get week in and week out, which makes no sense to me, because by the time that you pay your $100, are you making $100 if you're really not thriving? I don't know. But they also could have a customer that's making them qualified and active. So it is what it is. But until you ask them that, hey, are you willing to, cancel your promotership, move over to being a customer, and I'm willing to help you get your product for free. You just have to ask those questions. But the most important thing is, guys, you're going to have people in this business that are going to pay their $100 and they're going to keep going because they feel they work their business, they deserve what they get, yada, yada, yada. That's fine and dandy, but you don't know until you ask. You have to ask that simple question, and you just have to make them aware of what options they have. I think that's the most important thing, and just say, I want to grow with this. Here's another thing. A lot of people find their passion somewhere else, and Lavelle is not their passion anymore. Maybe they dabbled in Lavelle, they built a team, but now they're with some other multi-level marketing company, and that is okay. I am a firm believer that Lavelle is not for everybody. Multi-level marketing is not for everybody. But, you can resign and you can work with your upline to become a customer. Is it a benefit to them? No, you can't sit here and lie to them. Absolutely. They know it's not a benefit to them. But it allows you to work more directly with the upline that is in it to win it, that sees the bigger picture. And that's the most important thing. So, Tammy, I'll pass it back to you, because we could go on and on about that subject, but the most important thing is you have to ask.
Yes. Okay. So one of the questions, you kind of hit on it. So the question is, what about like leaders who don't communicate with you? They're not committed to you in any way, shape, or form, but they take that check every month. And I think that just, again, it sucks. It hurts. Like, it digs deep, right? I mean, no one wants to feel that way, especially because I personally feel like the people who I've brought into the business are people I know. So I wouldn't want anyone to feel like I left them or used them, kind of thing. But I know some people also are really good at social media marketing, and they're signing people up and never met them a day in their life. So I guess if they disappear from a stranger, maybe they don't feel quite as hurt as what I know some people feel. But so to me, that's when it, obviously, like you said, some people are in it for money and they're not going to stop. So can you just talk about how you coach people to deal with getting past those feelings and focusing on their business? Because it's a situation that, like you said, they can ask to try to get it fixed, but if it doesn't get fixed, how can they just keep moving forward? Like, what would you coach them to continue to do?
Well, getting it fixed is going to be far and few in between. So let's just be honest, guys. But it goes back to the very first book I ever read, which is GoPro from Eric Worre. And he says, from the very beginning, fire your upline. He tells you that before you're even successful or not. He says, fire your upline. And that's something that I've been blessed. I have an extremely awesome upline, so I cannot relate on a personal level. But do not think that I do not get phone calls on the daily about this particular issue, and it just rips my heart out, and there's no easy way. But I go back to what Eric says, and he says, you've got to fire your upline, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to get you up the ladder of success but you. You can sit here and you can waste your time dwelling on what your upline or your friend or your family member or an acquaintance brought you in, or you can say, you know what? I'm not going to waste any more time on that. I'm going to do what I have to do to make a better tomorrow for my family, for my wife, for whatever it is. And that is what Tammy, that is what I focus on even in my own business. Because as much as Susan is a huge help to me, I cannot rely on Susan month in and month out to make sure that I hit my personal goals. I do not feel like I have to call Susan and say, Susan, I've got to have this, I got to have this, I got to have this. I need you to pay back your commissions and offer these promos. It's up to me. It's up to me to make this business work. And that's what I need for people to do. And it's so hard to do because we are human and we let things get in our way. But if you could fire your upline and work this business, if you put that amount of tension and stress, if you were to turn that around and put that into your business as an income producing, because this being mad is not income producing. If you can put that into this pile, I promise you that, if you don't, you'll start paying itself off. And yes, are there people that wait till 10:59 on the last day of the month to order? Absolutely, guys. It is what it is. I have my own people that literally are my level ones that dabble in other things and are taking other health and wellness products, but they have a $100 order that goes in every month. It happens to me. But you know what? I've reached out to them. I've asked them if they need help. I've given them all the bonus information. I've continuously let them know that I'm here. But at some point, you have to just wipe your hands and say you're done, and you've got to move on. So I encourage you with this particular question to fire your upline and do income producing instead of dwelling.
Yeah, I love that fire your upline. I forgot about that part until you just said that in the book. And I think that goes with everything, because whether you have a great upline or not, like you can't, like you said, you can't rely on them to always be doing promos for you. And you have to run your own business. I think that's the trickiest part is, yes, somebody helped you get into this, but you chose to get into it. And so if they disappear and they're not, doing the right thing, that's for them to go to bed at night with, not you. You've got to keep pushing for your own business and your own growth. And, best thing you could do is just surpass them. Just fly right past them. Keep pushing and growing. Now, you did mention people dabble in other things, and that is one of the topics that I wanted to talk about. And I have to quote this because I love the words that come out of her mouth sometimes. But Sandra Dilbeck and I were talking about this, and she said, and I quote, "You cannot ride two horses with one ass." And I thought that was hilarious, but it's so true. So Lavelle does not have a strict compliance policy on being a Lavelle promoter plus other companies. Whereas most other companies say, if you are a distributor, a promoter, or whatever they call it for our company, you cannot be for others. And so what I think we see a lot of times is someone who is technically a Thrive promoter, but they don't talk about it, they don't publicize it, but yet they still want to know why their business isn't growing or this, that, or the other. And so I think there comes a point in time where those people have to make the decision. Are you going to dabble in Thrive, or are you going to dabble in, what are you going to do? And so I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but this is also the part where I just want to explain to people how easy it actually is. If it's come to the point in time in your business where you are, like you said, finding your passion someplace else, it's easy to close your promoter account. It is literally a support ticket. That is it. But I'm going to let you talk about that, Lindsay. You probably have people on your team that do more than just Lavelle. How do you handle that? And what's your feeling truly inside that, should people quit and just do one? I don't know. How do you really feel about it? You and I didn't really talk about that before we did this.
Well, I'll be honest. That is a super duper touchy subject with me. And I'm going to start off this. Yes, Lavelle allows you the opportunity to be a part of other companies. However, where we are incredibly strict is cross recruiting. And that I'm going to stand firm on, because you know what? You can do whatever your peeping heart desires. But cross recruiting is an absolute no-no, and it is terms for termination. I said I wasn't going to get into compliance, and I'm not. I'm just letting you know that that's a huge no-no. If you could go back to the calls that I did 4 years ago, you would hear me say, you cannot, no successful, and you can mark my words on this, 200K promoter is dabbling in more than one direct sales business. Mark my words on that. And if you want to prove me wrong, do it. Find somebody that is, because I can promise you on Maria's team, there's not. That is a huge subject to Maria's. I've seen her go over that time and time again in Team Thrive Nation. And here's why, guys. How can you, yes, I believe that you should have more than one egg in your basket. Absolutely. I am a firm believer in that, and I'm learning that as each year as I get older, that you've got to have those options. But you have to be smart in what options they are. Because one minute you're thrive, and then the next minute you're throwing something else up on people. And they're like, oh, there she goes again, jumping companies. Believe me, guys, I feel the same way. Lavelle is the first direct sales I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm just a firm believer that if you're putting you're doing all of these other things, how do you expect to grow in any business you're in? I'm going to leave it. I don't even care if it's Lavelle. How do you expect to grow if you're sitting here and you're just continuously doing 5,000 different things? I'm going to relate it back to sports. You know, my daughter is a junior in high school. She loves to play sports, but you know, it's come to that time in her life where she can't dabble in volleyball and basketball and doing this and doing that and running track. It's time for you to focus on what you want to do and what scholarships she wants. So it's the same thing with Lavelle. You can sit here and dabble in everything, but you're never going to be successful at any of those because you've got so many different things. So I've always been a firm believer, to get to the top, you've got to have a mindset and a focus on that one particular thing. And you've got to be so passionate that that's what you eat, you sleep, and you breathe. Because it's so easy to get off a track when you're trying to do 5,000. And I don't know about you, but it is so overwhelming to me. Even, and here's the thing, you know, you have all those people that, well, I'll buy your product if you throw a party. I made that mistake in the beginning and I did that. But then here I was taking time away from building my business, trying to get these dang people to buy these other things. And it just never worked for me personally. I have promoters on this team that it works tremendous for, and they have kept lifelong customers for that. But you've got to know where your time and your attention is the most valuable. But guys, getting to the top in anything you do in life is not going to happen if you're dabbling in too many things. You need to be laser focused on one thing. And if it's Lavelle, hey, we're here for you. If it is another company, guess what? We support you and we are happy for you, because I know in my heart that Lavelle's not for everybody. And if you find something that's helping you and your family, spread your wings and fly. And I'm never going to knock you. There are so many people on my personal Facebook that were thrivers that I literally sat and drank with and partied with at getaways that are not with Lavelle anymore. I'm not bashing them. I'm posting in their comments, way to go, way to find something that you are super passionate about. But don't dabble in both. That's the most important thing, is if you want to be successful at anything in life, you have to be laser focused.
Okay, so kind of on the same realm, but off a little bit. So if you're affected by if you're an orphan, then you understand this. But some people don't understand this because they're not an orphan, or they don't realize that they have orphaned people. So I want to explain what I meant in my post about blocking the line. So let's say Lindsay brings me in as her level 1, and I'm doing really well, and Lindsay quits. When promotions come up, for example, the double, triple commission thing, when promotions come up, because my sponsor Lindsay has left, I don't get those promotions, right? I don't get that opportunity. So for those of you who you're not sure if you're affecting your team or not, I want you to take a hard look at, are you actively passing down promotions to your team? Because if you're choosing to stay on, but you're choosing not to actually promote, then that's something you might want to think about. Maybe you still want to collect your paycheck or you still want to do things. Okay, but I want you to understand that, every few months when a promo comes out, you need to step back in and be helping your team. Or in this case, like I said, you can just rescind your account. To close your account, you send a support ticket. You can take off 6 months. You can sign up if you want after that. Ideally, if you love the product, I would say you're probably not going to re-sign up as a promoter. You might just sign up as a customer kind of thing. But I just want you to understand that your choice not to promote is totally your choice. But if you have a team underneath of you, that's totally affecting you. So do you have any comments on that, Lindsay? Like anything you want to talk about for that?
It just goes both ways. I mean, if I'm speaking to the individual that's still paying their $100 and not pushing promos, guys, it comes back to the golden rule. Do unto others as you want to be done. And that is a golden rule that I'll stand by in all aspects of my life. No, I can't make you, but I promise you at the end of the day, you're never going to be successful in anything because you're greedy. And that's just the nature of the beast. Speaking to the individuals that aren't receiving the promotions because their upline's not offering them, guys, it sucks. It stinks totally. But just trust the process. Reach up. And this is something that you have to do. And you can't be a pity party. It's not. I'm trying to use my words wisely. Yes, it's upsetting, and you can have a pity party, but you know what? Have your pity party and pull your big girl pants back up, because there are people in your upline that want this for you just like you want it for yourself. And you have to reach up to them, and you can't be ashamed that they're 20 levels above you, but there's 19 people between you that don't work but pay. We want for you to be successful, and we're going to do whatever we can to make that happen. So the most important thing is, to the individuals that are not working but collecting a paycheck or getting these promos, guys, rethink it. You can be a customer back in 90 days, and I promise you, and if you resign and you truly do love the Thrive experience, we'll work out a way to get you your product until you can sign your customer back up. That's not an issue. Don't let that be something that's stopping you. But if you're doing it just because you don't want to make the time or whatever the case is, really have a life check, really have a self check and think about, am I making the right decision? And for the individual that month in and month out, it just is irritating to you, guys, you've got to let that go. You've got to swallow that, and you've got to move on and know that at the end of the day, you've got uplines that are going to be there for you no matter what level they are.
Sorry, I was muted. I was just checking. I don't have any questions coming through the chat. I'm going to try to do, okay, so I can see some faces. If I see your face and you see mine and you have a question, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. Nobody wants to ask a question. Okay, so the only other thing I'm going to kind of say here too is another message that came in while we were on. But it's in regards to, again, going back to the buying promoters to earn a trip. So again, let's say you have a great customer who sees you run a promotion that involves a promoter pack, you switch from customer to promoter. The point, it's not really a question, it's kind of the point, ordering as a promoter has benefits, and it's very clear from the beginning you don't have to promote. It's a free account for a reason. It's the doing the right thing for those that have teams that decided to promote. So basically, I think what this person is saying, just because you bring a promoter on, whether you're bringing a promoter on because somebody doesn't want an auto ship or somebody gets a bonus or somebody's earning a trip or there's a promo attached, something like, there's lots of reasons people will go to a promoter account. It's the people who choose to actually start promoting and start bringing in a team that the responsibility falls upon to make the right decision and do the right thing. And as we've discussed, some people will and some people won't. It's just a matter of, like you said, not focusing your energy on that as much as just pushing that energy into the positive of building your business forward. So if no one has any questions, oh, Lisa has one, hang on. Okay, you're unmuted.
Okay, my question is, and it's not really a question, it's probably more of a statement. There are several promoters on this team during rebates, during rank advancement bonus opportunities, they gave away $400 promoter packs for $40. That's what they needed to do to hit their $12,000 bonus or their $80,000 or whatever it may be. Does anyone not think how devaluing that is to our product, but yet we encourage people and let people continually do this to hit a bonus? Like how does that make sense to grow a business? It's really only growing in your pocket.
And Lisa, you know how I feel about this. This is a double-edged sword because it goes back to people work their own business the way they want to work their business. So I am not subject to tell somebody. I can always say, hey, I don't think that's a good idea, or how are you justifying that, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, it's not my money that I'm paying back. It's their money. So it's a choice. And as far as devalue, absolutely, I totally understand it. I'll be first to tell you that I'm guilty of giving things away, and it's backfired on me. Trust me. I know that firsthand and personally. But you can tell people what to do, but again, it's their own business. I mean, or you can give people advice, information, critique, whatever, constructive criticism. But at the end of the day, I can't necessarily say you can't do that. Does that make sense? I know that's not the answer you want to hear, and I know that you already knew that to begin with, but it's a tough situation because it's a double-edged sword either way you look.
Yeah.
Either way you look at it.
I will chime in and just say that there are strict rules in compliance that it refers to bonus buying, and we are all responsible for keeping compliance tight. And so if you see something that's going down that is, it's one thing to be
Not enforced.
Oh, okay. So you're turning things in then?
Absolutely.
And honestly, that's all you can do then. So that goes back to, you can lay your head down at night knowing you've done what you're supposed to do, and that other person, whoever, whatever, they've got their pillow to put their head down on. But I always feel like, some people will send me a message and say, hey, I saw this, or I know this. Should I tell someone? And I'm like, yeah, it's called compliance@lavelle.com. I mean, that's who you tell, that's what you do. So I don't know.
And I also want to add to that, because I know I got a lot of concerns about that as well a couple of months ago or whatever, but it's not just the Lavelle thing, guys. I have people that are in the makeup industry that literally pick up the phone and say, hey, Lindsay, I'm trying to place I got to make a $500 order. Are you willing to help pitch in? So I think the most important thing is it's straight across the board, but as long as you know that you're doing the right thing at the end of the day, there's nothing else that can be, as long as you know that somebody can't turn you into compliance and you're doing the right thing, that's what you have to go and move forward to, and you have to push down to your team.
Okay.
So I never know where to look on the camera. So if I'm looking like down at your chest, it isn't because I'm looking at your chest, Lisa, because I'm looking, I don't know where to look.
I forgot I muted myself out and I was over here talking. Any other questions from anybody else? I don't see any hands. All right. So, like I told Lindsay before we even started this video, to be honest with you, the people who probably need to step down from promoting are most likely not on this video. Like, let's just be honest. My goal with this video was to make sure that if they were, they know they have options. But basically, just to let you guys all know, it happens to all of us. We all know it's not fair. I think the best thing you can do as a leader is, like Lindsay said, fire your upline anyway. Don't worry about them. Let them do their thing and you do yours. And if at times it crosses and it's wonderful, that's great. But don't base your business off of someone else anyway. And also as a leader, I think it's super important to look in your downline and find those orphans. Like, look for them, because not everyone is a born leader, and not everyone is going to have the backbone to say, hey, my person left, what do I do? But you can look in your downline report and you can see right away who left, who's not doing anything. And I have had people on my team approach their direct upline and say, hey, you don't promote anymore. I'm missing out on a lot of promotions. Will you please step down? Sometimes they get a response and sometimes they don't. But they took the matter professionally and approached it. And so I think that's always an option for people as well, to at least know that you're doing what you can do. And then whether the person says yes or no, you keep pushing forward for your own business and your own goals. So hopefully this helped a little bit. Like, I know it's not going to fix the problem. It's one of the things that we deal with. But like I said, I think as long as you treat it like an elephant in the room, it's going to stay that way. And I would just rather bring it out and say, hey, there are people that don't work the business and they take a paycheck. It's part of it. Here's how to deal with it. Here's how to move on. So hopefully moving forward, now that you've had this, conversation, maybe now you have some wording that you might feel more comfortable with. And yeah, if any of you watching are the ones who you feel like you want to quit promoting, but you don't know how, just click the support button, send them an email and tell them you want to terminate your account. That's super easy. So if no one has any other questions, we're going to call it good. All right. Hey, Lindsay, thank you. Thanks for being on. Thanks, everybody else. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.